Every time I tried to make it on my own, every time I tried to stand and start to fall, in all these lonely roads that I've traveled on, there was Jesus. When the life I built came crashing to the ground, when the friends I had were nowhere.
I can't tell. We're live? Okay. Good evening, good afternoon. All out there in the Facebook world, we're glad that we're able to meet up with you this evening on Facebook. It's good to be here. Glad that you're here. I don't know who's here. I can't see nothing yet. But whoever's here is here, and we're proud to see you. And that's good. Hopefully we can come together and study the Word and glean from Scripture some things that we can use in our daily walk as we serve the Lord and try to bring the kingdom to folks out in the world. You know, sharing the gospel is the most important thing that we can do on a daily basis. The very most important thing we can do on a daily basis is share the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. And Lord knows there's a bunch of people in the United States of America today that don't really understand what they are doing in mocking Israel. I don't know that y'all caught the news this afternoon, but the University of Texas in Austin has had a bunch of, I don't call them rioters. Ma'am? Protesters. They're probably more like terrorists. When you say death to America, as far as I'm concerned, they need to go somewhere else. They're terrorists. They don't, and they're living in here in this country, breathing the same air that we are. And it's very sad that we have that. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand the consequences of what they're doing in all these universities. Hey, good evening. Neither do we, some of us, understand the consequences of what's going on in our colleges and universities with these professors that are teaching these young people all of this out stuff. Ma'am?
All three of my kids were raised going to church. Not anymore, not since they went to these liberal colleges. We had a family that
We had a family that told us, 3 girls, that they were raised in Southeast Texas, and now they're all liberal.
I have something to say.
Say,
They paid $200,000 to go to college. You know, and that's just outrageous.
well, yeah, I mean, that was kind of dumb in the first place, pay that much money to go to college. You know, just put that money in the bank and live on it. You know, but yeah, the federal government's paying it. These colleges are funded by the government. Anyway, we're in a bad situation with our country right now, as it seems to be getting worse. University of Southern California, Texas, and Harvard, and Columbia, and all that. And today, I got word from a black lady who is a nurse, came to visit my mama, and she told me that they're even having protests at Ole Miss. That her daughter called her and told her that they were protesting on campus, death to America, death to Israel. At Ole Miss.
If they want death to America, why don't they get out of the United States?
I donate the health argument.
I don't want. Well, we've gotten to a point in the country.
They'll probably have to bring in the National Guard.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you think about bringing in the National Guard. Who knows that all of them are in good shape? You know? That's a sad thing. But anyway, we got some problems, and it seems to be that they're escalating, and I don't know. I know why they are like they are, and I think I know the solution of why, what'll change it, but we'll just have to wait and see. Next thing I want to say before we get started is on the 27th, on a Sunday afternoon, April 27th, that'll be this Sunday, won't it? They're supposed to be at the association office at 3 p.m. a meeting about the the outreach, Love Out Loud, that we've participated in the last couple of years. And they're looking for all that's interested to come and be a part of it, learn more about it. They got some things that people need to come forward and help them with, like T-shirt orders and registration, advertising, worship, devotion, breakfast, all those different projects. This generally, it's going to be some grass cutting, backyard Bible clubs, nursing home ministries, building beds for kids, car washing. Generally, we have done the car washing here at our church in the past, and it worked out pretty good. So what I'm doing this for is some of the younger folks in the church that might want to go to this meeting on Sunday afternoon, and it just it'll take 45 minutes or an hour on Sunday evening, but and listen and see if you would be interested in heading up a project for our church here on Sunday afternoon. So that's at 3 o'clock at the association office. And
have we got any druthers? Or we want to just do the car wash like we do every year? Have we got any druthers?
well, I don't know. I mean, we did well on the car wash. It seems like it's not that we have to do the same thing every time. Yeah.
Have we already got the stuff for the car wash?
From last year, it's all on the
It's all back to everybody back.
I don't want to sound lazy, BT. I'll just say this: when you do it here with our location, when it gets quick time, you turn the water off and put our stuff underneath the shed and we go home. If you do it at other places, you got to go back there and clean up, clean somebody else's area up. So there is an advantage too.
Well, I wasn't thinking about us doing it anywhere but here.
Yeah, there's a selfish advantage to us.
Myself, we did well.
That's just my idea.
Now, we will have to go over to wherever they're going to have a meeting that morning and be sure that they know that we're going to be car washing over here. And that's what
They'll
that,
have a worship service every morning.
yeah, they'll have a worship service, and then we'll leave that worship service and come over here and wash cars. What I'm asking is there somebody that could think about it, pray about it, ask the Lord if he would have them lead out, step out on this ministry. And so I'll leave the card up here. If
Be our team leader. You're looking for somebody.
I'm looking for somebody to be the crew chief.
And that'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now you can get some assistant crew chiefs to help you.
And you'll be through by noon.
Yep, noon it'll be done every day at noon, and you'll get wet, and you'll have kids that spray you with water and all of that.
But you might get your own car wash. So.
Yep, you might get your own car wash. So that's something to look at if you feel led toward doing that direction. If not, we'll pick somebody and show them how to do it. Right, Brother John? Ain't that how you get stuff done? All right. Everybody's good. We're going to start here in chapter 7 of the book of the Romans. And I'm going to just read, starting with verse 13. And Brother Mark said y'all ended up at going into 15. And hopefully we can glean something here. This is a pretty strong stuff here in these few verses that we can learn and apply. One of the first things that what is sin responsible for? Does anybody know?
Separating us from God.
Okay. Death. Wages of sin is death. Not the law of God that's responsible for death. It's the wages of sin. So, got to keep that in mind when we study this. Has then what is good become death to me? Paul's asking. And of course, he's playing off of 12 up there about the law being holy and the commandment holy, just, and good. Has then what is good become death to me? Certainly not. But sin, that it might appear sin, was producing death in me through what is good, so that sin through the commandment might become exceedingly sinful. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. Okay, now, put on your thinking cap, put it in reverse, go back to last Wednesday night when you studied this, when you encapsulated all of that right there, what you looked at with Brother Mark teaching, what did you come up with there in those few verses? When you put them all together and you come out with one main thought there. I'm just wondering, I'm trying to figure out that. So, we're talking about 13 and 14. What did when you put all this together, what did it mean to you? What is something you could take out of it?
Sin is destructive.
Sin is destructive? Okay?
It's spiritual. We're fighting the demons.
Okay, you're fighting demons, okay. All right. What else?
Sin shows the sinner the need of salvation.
Okay.
14 jumps out at me as with the law of spiritual
That's true. What is it? He says in verse 14, for we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. What is he saying there? When he said, Paul says, now listen to what he says, and he's saying that. He said, I am carnal. What does that mean? Fleshly. I'm fleshly. It doesn't necessarily describe somebody that don't know Jesus. Can't, because Paul is writing. And he said he is carnal.
He wouldn't be right before it was saved.
Huh?
He'd be thinking back before it might have been saved.
No, I don't think he was. I don't know how he could be. But what is carnality? When you think of the word carnal, what is it? How is it described?
Influenced by the flesh.
Okay? Because what's going to happen to us when Jesus comes and we're changed in the twinkling of an eye? We'll lose our carnality because we'll lose our flesh. We will be rejuvenated, changed in the twinkling of an eye to be like Jesus. So we will not be carnal anymore. When someone is carnal, it's fleshly, and the flesh is apt to sin. It's always a struggle. It's always a struggle. Paul says, hey, I'm carnal. I'm sold to sin. In other words, he can't get out of sin until the Lord comes back. He has to struggle with it all the time. Are you like that? I'm like that. You know, I mean, I think we all are like that. That we all have a struggle with sin. It's different levels. It's different kinds. It's different. It's different altogether. But we all struggle with that carnality, and we've been, like he said, we've been sold under sin. In other words, sin controls us if we don't watch it. And let's look what he says. For what am I doing? I do not understand. You ever thought like that? This is Paul saying, for what I do, I don't understand. What I'm doing, I do not understand sometimes. Now, he may have been talking about thoughts that going through his mind. He might be talking about, dealing with people. But he said, what I'm doing, I don't understand. And a lot of times I'm just like that myself. I don't understand why did you think that thought? Why, I'm saved. I'm supposed to be spiritual. Where did my control go? I don't understand it. And if you understand it, please let me know. Please, because I need to know how this thing works. He says, for what I am doing, I do not understand. For what I will to do, okay, there's that will of man that comes in. What I will to do, that I do not practice. In other words, what he knows to do and knows it's the right thing to do, he doesn't practice it. In other words, now, when it says practice, what does that mean? To do it over and over, like a doctor practices medicine. He said, I know what to do, but I don't practice what to do. I don't just, it's easy. We will get in a situation, and that situation's coming, but you'll react the same way if you don't watch yourself to a sinful situation. You know what I'm saying? You'll get mad at somebody because they said something in the wrong way or whatever. Sometimes, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. But we don't really practice not willing ourselves not to sin. And that's what the scripture said. He said, what I will to do, because that's very plain. When he says what I will to do, it means I know what to do. I know what I ought to do, but I just don't make it a point to do it every day. Just don't make it a point to do it every day. If then I do what I will not to do, I agree with the law that it is good. So when he says, if then I do what I will not to do, in other words, when I do something that I ought not to do, then I'm sure, and I ought to have done it another way, then what do I say about the law? The law knew me all the time. The law knew me all the time. I was a sinner. I'm just a sinner. It knows me. But now it's no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me. That's pretty deep right there, ain't it? If then I do what I will not to do, I agree with the law, then it is good. But now, it's no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me. Now we've already got, in these few verses, we've already got one thing going on. We've already talked about will. We have a will. We have a will. And that will knows what to do and what not to do. Hadn't we learned that in those few little verses right there? That will knows that. And then we also find out that it's possible, because Paul writes it down here, it's possible to sin against your conscience. Right here. Because he says, if then I do what I will not to do, if I go ahead on and do what I know I ought not do, then what is happening? Sinning against what you know to do, right or wrong. Your conscience. You're sinning against your conscience. He's telling us it's always going to be a continuous battle, but he's also in the end trying to get these knuckle-headed people to see that there is no hope but with Jesus. In the end of everything, there is no hope without Jesus. I mean, he's telling us it's a continuous battle. It's a war. It's a spiritual war. But we can't make it without Jesus. And we can't be where we need to be without our focus being on Jesus. Because, I mean, he made it pretty plain. Your will knows what to do, but you'll do different anyway. So how can you overcome sin? Got to have somebody to overcome it for you. In Jesus. He says, but now it's no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me. And then he goes on to say in verse 18, for I know that in me, then he says, that is in my flesh, nothing good dwells. I know in my flesh, nothing good dwells. For to will is present with me. But how to perform what is good, I can't find it. I do not find it. Now that lays it out there for you. There ain't no hope for you without Jesus. No hope without Jesus. He says, for the good that I will to do, I do not do. But the evil I will not to do, that I practice. Interesting to say that he says that how to perform what's good he can't find. And the good he can't do, but he can practice evil. Mm-hmm. He can practice evil. I mean, don't we do that?
Once you do it, it becomes easier and easier.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the way we are. We sin all the time. We like to think we don't sin. We like to think that we're pretty good folk. You know, we like to think that fact. But yet and still, when you are you, with nobody around, when you're you, I mean, think about the things that goes on. And ain't nobody teasing you there. It's just you. So we got a problem. We got a problem. But we also have a problem solver in Jesus. He can take care of those problems. He said, for I know that in me, that is in my flesh, nothing good dwells. I'm fixing to sneeze on the air. Maybe not, just blow my nose. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, nothing good dwells. For the will is present with me, but how to perform what's good I do not find. For the good that I will to do, I do not do. But the evil I will not to do, that I practice. Now, if I do what I will not to do, it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me. Well, sin made you do it. The carnality of sin. Even when we know not to do it, we still do it. Everybody Is anybody in here different from that? I mean, we're all the same. I mean, everybody's kind of quiet now. Any kind of comment, any kind of say, I ain't like that, I don't understand that. Well, sure you understand it, because he's telling the truth about all of us. We all are exactly like what Paul said about himself.
That's why we all sit here quiet.
That's right. We're all just like Paul says he is. You know. I find then a law that evil is present with me. The one who wills to do good. So what's he telling us?
Can't do it on his own.
But he can't do it on our own, but also in our nature, there is the will to do right, and we also have evil in us. You know. And he said, notice what he said. This is a law. I find this is a law. That evil is present with me. You know, the one thing about the law that came from Sinai, it demanded perfection. Wasn't no trying to get close to the mark or anything like that. It demanded absolute perfection. That's right. The law, if you think about the moral law that comes from Sinai, where does it lead you to? It leads you to heaven. It leads you to heaven. Because if that wasn't the case, when Jesus came and lived perfectly for those 33 and a half years and fulfilled every jot and tittle of that law, and then when he went to the cross and paid that sacrifice that God accepted, if he had not done that, none of us could see heaven. We see how bad it is now. It's a struggle. It's a struggle we're losing every day without Jesus. I find then a law that evil is present with me, the one who wills to do good. For I delight in the law of God according to the inward man. I delight in the law of God according to the inward man. But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. So he goes on and illustrates here with this in verse 22, I delight in the law of God according to the inward man. In other words, I think he's saying right there is hope. There is hope for us. But he sees this other law that's in his members, and it's warring against the law. Where's it warring at? Of his mind. Where's the battle at? It's always been for the mind. It's always in the mind. The battle's always in the mind. And it brings me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. And then it looks like to me in verse number 24, he just throws up his hands. You know, O wretched man that I am. O wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death? Thank God, through Jesus Christ our Lord. And then he tells you something that you ought to underline right here. Ought to underline it so when you're flipping the pages of Romans, it ought to just pop out at you. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of God. In other words, he knows what to do. He knows that he's satisfied that in his will that that's what to do. But with the flesh, the law of sin.
So back in 23, BT, that warring against what I know in my mind, the law of sin by my members, that would be the senses, right? His members, I would think he's talking about his senses,
Sight, sound, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life, you know.
So those senses, those members, those senses
Right.
are, keeps him sidetracked
Same.
from what he knows to do in his mind.
Right. Same thing with Eve. You know, that when she sinned in the garden, I mean, it was lust of the eyes and the pride of life. The devil told her, you can be like God. You know. And it was good for fruit. It looked good and it was good to eat. So it's the same thing he's talking about there. It's and it's true. It's true. It's very true. And the end result is that we are going to be able to escape from the flesh in Jesus. We'll be able to escape from the flesh in Jesus. That's the coolest thing there. I mean, he took care of all of that on the cross. Satan, self, and sin. Took care of all of it on the cross. And of course, I think we're going to get into it a little bit, but that's one of the reasons he talks about what in Colossians, he talks a little bit about it in Ephesians, always talking about crucifying the flesh. I think we'll get into it here in a little more time. It's one thing when you start to crucify the flesh in us. Interesting to think about Roman crucifixion. There was no end until the person died. That form of death, they suffered till they died. And there was nobody ever came off the cross and made it through, anything like that. We have in our modern day executions, we see people that they try to kill them and it didn't work and all that. But in Roman crucifixion, they made sure that you died. And that's why, as we talk about crucifying the flesh, so we won't walk according to the flesh. We have to kill it. Just like, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle to do that. So then with this mind, I myself serve the law of God, but with the flesh, the law of sin. So you have to keep your mind on the things of God, so the flesh, which is under control of the mind, can control what's going on. I mean, it's a battle. And no matter how good you think you're doing and all of that, you can always find some sin somewhere. Kind of like cancer, you know. You go over there and you take a chemo and you go through all those things and they give you CAT scans. And when I got my third cancer treatment and they told me I didn't have any more cancer, I said, well, great, I don't have to take that stuff no more. And he said, no, sir, you don't. You're going to have to take it 6 more times or 5 more times or whatever it was. And I said, why? He said, because there might be a little bit somewhere. And if we don't get it, it'll come back. Same way with sin. We can't ever get rid of it. We got to keep it under control until Jesus comes. And
Like you said, we really fool ourselves when we're thinking we're doing things.
oh, we fool ourselves, yeah. Because we forget what good is. Because as the Bible says, there's not one good except for God. You know, that's the definition of good. And his name is Jesus. So we just don't know what we think when we say it's all good.
Well, we need to keep trying.
Ma'am?
We need to keep trying. Instead of just giving up and saying, okay.
No, you don't give up. You just keep struggling. I mean, the struggle is against sin. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. You struggle on a daily basis and learn and, you know, it's just what I've always used this little analogy of dealing with sin. If your biggest nemesis on losing weight is ice cream, don't walk by the ice cream shop every week. You know, stay away from the ice cream shop. Because if you can't overcome it with your mind, you're not going to overcome it. So, same way with people don't realize that sin. I mean, you've got to overcome sin in every way possible. That's why it says you have to crucify the flesh. That's a terrible statement, to crucify the flesh, when you compare it to crucifixion, Roman crucifixion. What does that mean? I mean, you know, you have to get rid of friends sometimes. People that cause you to stumble, you have to say bye-bye to them. You know, if you got certain things that you watch on TV that cause you to stumble, you got to say bye-bye to them. You know, I mean, it's lots of things that you have to do to get rid of the flesh. And then some things, you know, have you ever had a bad attitude? Sometimes you got to get rid of them. You know, things that you don't like that somebody else is doing, and you get an attitude about it. I mean, that's only going to cause you to stumble and sin. That's all it's going to do. Or cause somebody else to stumble and sin.
Probably worse.
Which is probably worse. You know, bad attitudes, I mean, good Lord of mercy. We're so blessed in living in America, and to get a bad attitude,
We always tell the kids to get an attitude adjustment.
Yeah, I've always told them, if you don't get one, I'm going to give you one. For sure. You're going to get your attitude adjusted really quick. Because, I mean, we used to, when we was raising our kids, we fed them deer meat every night. You know. And Les hates to eat, one thing that he hates to eat is hamburger, helper. Because that's what we ate, you know. When you're raising 3 kids, sending them to private school and college and all that, you got to do what you got to do, you know. And they could eat all they wanted, but and he tells us, I don't like hamburger helper. I never will again. You don't have to. You can buy what you want to. And put your feet on your table and eat what you want to. But you come to our house, you're going to eat what we eat. I get so aggravated at my children sometimes with all them chaps, and they'll just go out of the way to feed them. Marlene cooked something the other night. We had some rice and gravy and a pork roast and some fresh corn and sweet potatoes and all that stuff, and we put it on the plate, and one of them gets up there and takes a bite and says, I don't want none of that. And I'm thinking, you little sucker. I ought to go put your head in the commode and make you come back in here and eat it. Because it didn't eat anything. Didn't eat nothing. Wasn't like that at my house when they were growing up. They all say, Daddy, we hate you. But not no more. Not no more. They realize for themselves what it's like. All right. For all you folks out there on Facebook, and I don't know if there's anybody on Facebook, I'm hoping there is. Or is there 2 or 3? We appreciate you coming online with us. I hope you got something out of our Bible study. There's a lot more stuff that we can do with Bible study, and but here the book of Romans is some powerful stuff. It'll point you in the right direction every time you read it. And we appreciate you being here. If you have something to pray about, please post it on Facebook. We can get to it. And y'all take care. Lord willing, see you on Sunday as we come together and worship the Lord Jesus Christ. Bye. Take care.